What's going on, guys? Chris here at C4 Armory. I'm with Mike from B.O.S.S Suppressors. We're out here at our very first, for me and you, range day. We're going to test out some suppressors. We have a whole crew of guys out here, probably about 15 or 20 guys that brought a bunch of suppressors, and we're going to put them up against the B.O.S.S suppressors. What are you going to use today to put them up against? I know we're doing a 30 cal, a 9mm, and a 5.56. What's your lineup for today?
For 5.56, we got our B.O.S.S Guillotine 5.56. And for the 300 blackout test, we're going to be trying the Chairman 30 cal, full size. And for 9mm, our newest model, the Commander SWAT edition, which is a SMG version, only 5.5 inches long.
All right. So I think we're going to have 3 different lineups. I think the bracket for the 5.56 is going to be 8 cans, right? 30 cal is going to be 6, and the 9mm is going to be 8 cans.
That's right.
So we're going to do a bracket for each of those. We're going to get through those testings. We're going to be shooting some KCI mags. They were nice enough to send me out a couple of MP5 mags, a few of the 5.56 mags. We're going to be using these today. I know we're going to be doing identical guns for all 3 calibers. What are the 3 platforms that you have that we're going to be working off of?
So we have a pair of very simple, kind of everyday AR-15s with Palmetto State lowers, and they're identical. For bolt guns, we actually have custom-made 300 blackout bolt guns, pristine bolt actions with 7.5-ish inch barrels. And then for the 9mm platform, we're going to be using a pair of Zenith ZF5Ps, the MP5K clone.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so we're trying to take all the variables out. We're trying to use as similar, if not identical, firearms, and the only things that we're trying to change are the mounting devices that we need to mount all the different suppressors. So we'll have a list of the lineup of everything that we're shooting. By the end of the video, we're going to have a panel of judges that are going to be 5 yards away. They're going to give us their opinion. We're also going to have the meter readings. How far away from the muzzle are we doing the meter readings?
Exactly 1 meter from the muzzle per the pretty standard protocol.
Okay, so we'll have all the meter readings for all the suppressors we're going to do. And then we're going to have commentary from the shooter's ear, which is going to be our buddy Zach doing all the shooting. So we should have some pretty good data at the end of this test. So we're going to go ahead and get into it and stick around, watch the whole video. There's a lot of good data, and we'll see what the outcome is going to be. We'll see who's going to take the cheese home. 3 shots, Turbo T3. First bracket. What are we shooting there, Zach? Oh, that's the guillotine. Guillotine, 3 shots, first bracket. Your signal on sound.
Here, I'm going to give you,
All right, Turbo T3, final 2 shots. Now switching back over to the guillotine, final 2 shots, first bracket.
A little more bounce in the recoil on the T3, where the guillotine feels a little bit more controlled.
Okay. All right.
What do we end up putting on numbers for those?
Let's take a look.
Because gas was similar between the 2 of them. But
All
this
right.
had a more consistent recoil impulse.
On the T3, dBs were 137.6, and on the guillotine, 130.3. So substantially different.
Yeah,
6
you can
dB
use
less. Yeah.
All right. Well, there's the difference.
7 dB. 7.
All right. What's the panel say?
I put 7 and 7 for both. They both sounded good. I noticed the first suppressor had a deeper tone but was louder, versus the second B.O.S.S suppressor, which had a higher pitch or tone but seemed a bit quieter.
All right.
I am going to give the first one a 6. It had a deep start. It was slightly louder. And I noticed that the sound didn't resonate as longer, so that's a plus for it. The second one had a way better tone, and the resonance was a lot more enjoyable. Because that's always something that you want out of a suppressor, not only to suppress it, but you want a good sound out of it.
I'll put a 6 for the first one.
And the second?
A 7 for that one.
All right. So it sounds unanimous that the second suppressor is going to advance. First suppressor is not.
Yes.
Sounds good.
All right. Second bracket. Silencer Coast Saker. And an RSBS. That was the Saker, switching to the RSBS.
Interesting. First round pop. Got a lot nicer after the first round pop.
Yeah, it did.
Saker is a little spicier than I expected.
Yeah.
Final 2 on the Saker.
All right.
All right. Over to the judges.
Silencer Cole was definitely quieter in my opinion, from this perspective.
All right.
I'm going to have to go with B&T.
B&T.
Yeah. I went with the B&T as well,
The B&T.
just to my ears.
All right. Looks like B&T is going to advance.
That's so crazy to me.
So the Silencer Coast Saker had a much louder first round pop to my ear that actually made my left ear ring a little bit. And the B&T was also a pretty significant first round pop, which I was a little surprised about considering 16-inch barrel. But the recoil impulse was just really smooth and soft on the B&T suppressor, where the Saker was much more violent. Like I didn't brace the gun just to kind of see between those two, and it actually lifted from the bag a little bit. And the tone really did not change all that much. And then the B&T with a deeper tone just added to it being a little bit more pleasant to shoot.
And what did the numbers say at the muzzle?
Yeah, so the Saker was 136.4, which is the second highest so far. The B&T, 124.7.
Yeah,
Wow.
120.
Very
Yeah,
good. Very good.
Yeah.
and for a reduced back pressure can, that's impressive.
It is, I think, the physical largest of the group.
It is,
which
yeah.
is going to play on that, but it's still an impressive score. All right.
All right. Next round is going to be the Hux 556 Ti and the Surefire RC2. So first shots with the Hux.
I felt like we just shot Sonic 3 times.
Yeah, with the
With the rings popping, like that was the sound.
There.
Yeah, all the coins, gotta go pick them up.
First 3 with the RC2. We'll get your feedback later. All right. Final 2 with the Hux.
Data.
Okay. And final 2 with the Surefire, or C2.
Whoa. 3.
All right. Feedback from the shooters here.
I mean, outside of it sounding like Sonic when you shoot it, that was kind of impressive on the Huxworks. Like less recoil impulse, significantly less gas, obviously. Tonally, it sounded better than the RC2, again, except for that ring.
Is that ring coming from the muzzle device?
Yeah, what is
I have no idea. It might be because it's titanium. I can't really tell what that ring's coming from.
Hold on, let me get his feedback first.
Yeah. But then versus the Surefire had a significant, pressure to it. You definitely had the smell of gas come back. It sounded louder to me than the Huxworks, which I was kind of surprised about. I wish I would have not worn ears for that, just to kind of get the difference. But I'd give it to the Huxworks between the two, at least on a 16-inch.
And I know Mike got up, but can you see the numbers, the decibel readings on these?
No.
No? All right. And over to the panel. So looks like we have 1 for Hux.
Yeah. 100% the Hux.
The Hux, all right.
Yeah, I went with the Hux as well. Honest, that ping sound definitely is the clear winner.
All right, so it looks like Hux is going to advance to the next round.
Jesus.
All right, Mike, what'd you get for the decibel readings on the Hux versus the Surefire?
So the Hux, this is a close one. On the Hux, it was 134.3, which is in and of itself impressive. And then the Surefire was 134.4. So virtually the same.
Yep.
And we can break out those waveforms, but pretty much the same as far as overall peak dB.
All right, perfect. All right, next up is the Griffin and the CGS. First up is going to be Griffin. First 3 shots.
Oh boy.
Don't be loud.
All right, say when.
All right, we're live. We're hot.
And the CGS, Helios. Back to the Griffin. And back to the CGS. All right, what do we have at the shooter's ear?
Well, the CGS was really unpleasant for the first 2 shots, but it cleaned up once we got a little further in. The Griffin was impressive, actually. I really liked shooting the Griffin, especially considering its size. That's smaller than most of the other cans we were shooting. I thought it was going to be more like the Saker, but it actually sounded more pleasant to my ear than even the B&T and the Saker were. And a really nice recoil impulse. And then the CGS improved on the end. So it was going to easily be the Griffin for me, but now I'm kind of torn between the two of them. I'm not really sure. I think it still kind of goes to the Griffin.
All right, Mike, what do the numbers say?
Griffin was 136.8, and
I guess it's more tone. Like I said, right there at the end. Right there at the end, the CGS felt a little bit better.
I'm going to take it to the panel. What's the panel say? So one.
Griffin, from this standpoint, clear winner for me.
Okay.
But I have to say, Griffin
All right.
was not a loud pop, and that was the deal breaker for the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
And I'd say the Griffin. Absolutely.
All right. So the Griffin advances to the next round. All right. Next round is going to be the Griffin versus a B&T.
SRBS up first. Good to go?
Okay, good to go.
Third shot sounded louder.
It's like a pop.
Yeah.
Around.
Okay, Griffin.
All right. Back to the final two on the B&T.
We're going to record this. Stand by. ENT.
Final two on the Griffin. All right. What do you got at the shooter's ear?
Comparable, except back pressure is considerably less with the SRBS, obviously. Tonally, they sounded somewhat the same, but this was a little bit easier to control and a little bit nicer on the ear. This one seemed a little bit sharper, but versus the first test, this actually seems to have like muddled out a little bit.
Got it.
I'd still go with the B&T in this run.
And what do the numbers say, Mike?
B&T a little hotter this time around at 131.2, but still the second lowest of the day total. And then the Griffin was 134.8, so respectable, but yeah, not as quiet.
All right. Let's take it to the panel. All right. So we got one for Griffin, one for B&T,
I'm with the B&T.
and another for B&T. All right. So B&T edges it out. B&T advances. All right. Next up is the Hux TI and the Guillotine. So first three with the Hux. First three on the Guillotine. Final two on the Hux. And the final two on the Guillotine. All right, what do you got at the shooter's ear, Zach?
They're both really pleasant to shoot. I mean, the Hux is definitely going to have less recoil behind it, so it's a little bit smoother of an impulse. I don't know. It's like kind of a tough toss-up between the two because with the less recoil behind the Hux, I kind of want to give it to that. But the Guillotine was definitely just as pleasant to shoot, minus the extra the extra impulse from the back pressure.
Got
Because
it.
you still don't get as much gas to the face as you do with some of the other models we've shot.
All right, Mike, what do the numbers say?
Stand by one. All right, 19 and 20. All right, so Hux was first, 133.5. And the B.O.S.S Guillotine 129.2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Let me take it to the panel. All right, boys. What says you? All right.
It's close, but I think the B.O.S.S guillotine edged it out. The last round definitely cemented that for me.
All right.
I also have to agree. B.O.S.S guillotine, tonally for me was way more pleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got the same thing. I went with B.O.S.S. You know, just from my ears, it definitely had the better tone to it.
All right. So B.O.S.S advances. All right. Back with the B&T and the guillotine. So first up is going to be the B&T. First 3 shots. All right. Next 3 on the guillotine. All right.
Hot round.
See that gun? Okay.
Final 2 on the B&T. This is for all the clout, all the marbles. It's the last bracket for 5.56. Winner takes all and bragging rights. And the last 2 on the guillotine. Moment of truth. All right. What do you say from the shooters here?
Similarly comparable. The guillotine is a little bit more sharp in its tone, where you get a little bit more deeper tone from the B&T. Considerably less pressure coming back from the B&T, but I think part of that happened to be a hot round that came in from the guillotine. So that's just an ammo thing. Still similarly comparable, kind of on the same points as like the Hux versus the guillotine. But I would say in this particular instance, again, I would give it to the reduced back pressure, but also on tone, but marginally.
All right. Mike, what do the numbers say?
You're going to have to look at them because you're not going to believe me.
They're going to be equal, aren't they?
In fact, the guillotine's got it by 0.2 of a decibel.
Yeah.
So as the day has gone along and the
It's gotten
atmospherics have
quieter.
changed, the B&T, which was first, was 130.3, which is pretty consistent,
Mm-hmm.
and then the guillotine was 130.1.
Yeah, it sounded really good. Like it was literally, again, just tonally, this did sound a little bit sharper, but still well within like a range where I would be happy to shoot this without ears almost all day.
They seem pretty close to me too.
Yeah.
Hard time.
All right, let's take it over to the panel.
Slightly deeper tone and then just a little less recoil, but then yeah, no, that's
Panel. This is for all the marbles, bragging rights. 1 on B.O.S.S guillotine, 1 on the B&T,
Like deep.
and
Yeah, I went with the B&T.
the B&T. All right, so just edged out.
But yeah, just
oh, it's so marginal.
like you said, yeah, they both sounded
I don't know.
so similar. It just had that, like you said, the sharpness to it.
Yeah.
Was that? I mean, it was hard to pick. I mean, to my ear, they sound the same as you know, as loudness.
The
wise,
ear likes a
quietness
deeper tone because they could be the same decibel level, but it mimics a softer sound because you're not reaching a higher threshold of like pitch.
Yeah.
But they could still be the same.
Right. All right, next up, we're moving over to 300 Blackout. We're going to go with the Trash Panda and JK Armament.
Okay, good to go.
You are good to go. It's gonna be hard to test.
Well, the JKs will get eliminated instantly.
All right, next three. This is the JK.
This is going to be really interesting. Oh, maybe not.
Different.
A little different.
I'm sure people would enjoy that, but there's a difference.
There is.
All right.
All right, now we're gonna test.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Back over to the last two, the meter on the JK armament.
On the chamber.
Yeah.
All right. What says the shooter's ear?
Impulse everything is practically identical. The JK is a little bit deeper in tone, but feels louder subjectively again. Q just sounds better in general though.
All right. What are the meter readings?
Stand by one. Meter readings. Here we go. So on the first one, 126.4.
And that was the Q.
And then the second one, 128.9.
Yeah.
All right.
It's good.
All right. Cameron says the Q. Sean, the Q.
I went with the Q as well.
Tyler, the Q. All right. Q advances. All right. Next up is the B&T Starlight versus the Hux Ventum. First up is going to be the B&T. All right. First three on the B&T.
All right, here's the Hux Ventum.
All right. Hux Ventum.
Yo.
Whoa.
Yikes. Kidoki. Hey,
It's a ricochet.
let's get some metering going on here.
All right. Final two rounds on each. We're going to meter these two. Back to the B&T.
Ready?
You go.
All right. Last two on the Hux.
This is chamber.
Oh no, we got them both. It just took a second to refresh. We're fine.
Okay.
All right. Zach.
B&T no contest on that one. As far as suppression. Yeah. And like recoil impulse, it was even lighter on the B&T than it was on the Hux.
All right, let's. Oh my God. Yeah, and what were the meter readings?
So the decibel ratings for the B&T were a respectable 127.7. On the Hux, I didn't even think 300 blackout subs could go this high. 140.9, highest of the day. Higher than all of the 5.56 cans that we heard earlier.
All right. To the panel. All right, Cameron, B&T, Sean, B&T, Tyler, B&T. All right,
0.
B&T advances. All right, next up we have the MMG Blade 36 cal versus the B.O.S.S Chairman.
All right, go ahead.
First 3 on the MMG Blade.
Meaty. Oh, much better.
Just a first round situation.
Significant.
All right. Over to the B.O.S.S Chairman.
Yo. Baffle strike? End cap. No, that's good.
Still good.
Go to town. Sounds like
Just
gas.
first round pop. I mean, both of them had it. Yeah, much cleaner.
Better. Still not great.
Third shot improved.
All right, gonna go ahead and meter the last 2. Final 2 on the MMG Blade.
Just fine. Just set it again. It's doing that shit.
All right, B.O.S.S Chairman, last 2 rounds metered. All right, what do you got, Zach, at the shooter's ear?
Both had pretty significant first round pop, but otherwise felt really similar in total performance.
Good.
Are the numbers out yet, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
What do you got?
For the, what was the first one?
The
MMG.
MMG.
MMG 133.9 and the B.O.S.S Chairman 131.2.
All right, let's take it over to the panel. All right, what's the panel say? So 1 for the B.O.S.S Chairman over MMG, 2nd for the B.O.S.S Chairman, 3rd for the B.O.S.S Chairman. So B.O.S.S Chairman advances, and MMG takes a back seat. All right, back to the Q and the B&T. First 3 shots on the Q. First 3 on the B&T.
Ooh.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. That's 2. Where's that 3?
That was 3.
That was 3? Good.
still around in that
Yeah,
magazine.
there is still around. I guess this one went to 6.
My bad.
Hands down, I'm taking the B&T Starlight over the Q.
All right, B&T. And just one more time, Mike, what were the decibel readings on those from before?
Oh, stand by one. So we're talking.
B&T and Q.
So it would have been the Trash Panda 24, 126.4 versus 127.7.
Which one was the 126?
It would have been the Trash Panda was the quieter of the two
Okay.
by like a decibel and a half.
All right. Let's take it over to the panel, see what they choose to decide what goes up against the chairman for the winner. All right, what's the panel say? B&T, 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 unanimous, B&T advances. Going with the B&T and the chairman. All right, next 3 on the chairman.
That was
Just long enough for another first round pop.
horrible.
I know a guy that might be able to fix that.
It's just terrible, isn't it?
There we go.
Fair, I don't think they've ever put the chairman on this gun, but obviously I wouldn't show that off.
Final 2 on the B&T. All right, final 2 on the chairman. All right, what's the shooter say?
I think I know the winner.
Yeah, I'd probably take the B&T in this case.
All right, let's
Mostly for the first round pop. Otherwise, they sound pretty similar. There's a little more tinny sound from the B&T than there is from the chairman. The chairman has a little more natural suppressed sound.
All right, let's check with the panel. All right, so between the B&T and the chairman, we got 1 for B&T, 2 for B&T, and 3 for the B&T. So B&T wins out over the chairman. It's the end of the 30 cal cans, and now we're going to move on to the 9s. All right, we got the Osprey 9 and the Lithium 9. We're now into the 9mm lineup. Same format.
Except the judge walked away. Somebody take over.
Shooting KCI magazines.
Here we go. Helps to keep fun to drop around in.
Check this.
Drop your bolts. First 3 on the Lithium.
Not as tight of a race as we thought.
No. All right. Sound.
You're going to meter the last 2, Osprey. Silencer Co. And to meter the last two on the lithium. All right, Zach, what do you got at the shooters here?
A lot more pitchy on the OCL than the Osprey 9. The Osprey, I think, kind of takes it for me at least from behind the suppressor.
All right, Mike, the meter readings then?
The first one was 123.9, so the Osprey 123.9, and the Otter Creek 126.4.
All right, let's check with the panel. All right, Zach, what do you got?
Definitely the Osprey.
Osprey.
Lance.
Osprey for Sean. Osprey for Tyler. All right, Osprey advances. All right, next two up are the Rugged Obsidian and the Mojave 9mm. First up is the Rugged. All right.
Floral notes of spring and gunpowder.
All right, that's the first three in the Rugged in the full configuration. All right, back to the Obsidian. I'm gonna meter these last two.
Yep.
Shit, what was the name of the other one again?
Mojave.
Oh,
This
Mojave.
is the Rugged Obsidian now.
Yeah, yeah. All right, that's it for the Obsidian, and back to the Mojave. Final two, gonna meter them, get the measurements, and then check with the panel.
Interesting.
That was different.
Okay.
All right. I mean, your face kind of said it all, but what does your mouth have to say?
I have no clue between these two. They kind of are all over the place, it feels.
Well, all the Obsidian were subsonic, or supersonic, and half the Mojave 9.
I'd probably give it the Rugged on this one.
Yeah, that's what I was
All right. Let me, let's get the readings here.
On the first one, which was the Rugged 124.7 versus 126.4 on the Mojave.
All right, let's check with the panel. All right, Cameron's going with his Rugged Obsidian, biased.
Not at all.
Sean with the Obsidian, and Tyler with the Obsidian as well. All right, Obsidian advances.
Hang on.
Seat. There we go.
Yeah,
All right, Wolfman and the R9.
Yeah.
First up is the R9 by YHM.
Yeah, I don't think
That was super
you have
quiet.
you have to leave the bolt back when you load it.
Oh, I know. Got that whole operator class under my belt, certified.
Take two. Yep, first three on the R9. Over to the Wolfman. Ow!
Should take the extension off, that'd be fair. Okay.
Might be a pretty even stack there.
Yeah, right.
I retract my previous statement. Anyway. okay.
Less worry about the R9 now.
Let's go ahead and meter these guys. R9.
And the meter.
Never mind.
All right, final two on the Wolfman. I think I know what Zach's decision is going to be, but let's hear it from him.
It's a lot closer than I thought it was going to be, but I'd still take the dead air. However, by weight and form factor, I'd take the R9.
All right, the meter readings in.
The meter said that the first one, which is the R9, 130.3, and then the Wolfman was 124.7, so much more in the normal range.
All right, let's take it over to the panel, see what they heard from 5 yards away. All right, Cameron with the Wolfman, Sean with the Wolfman, and Tyler with the Wolfman. All right, so Wolfman advances.
Hi. I ain't that thick around though.
All right, Radiant 9.
All right,
Rad 9, here we go.
we got the Rad 9,
Rad
and
9, sorry.
no, that's you're good. Rad 9 and the B.O.S.S Commander SWAT. First three on the Rad 9. First three on the Commander SWAT. All right, to the meter.
Supers?
They sound like supers.
They sound like supers to me. Jimmy, are these supers? What are they? All right. All right. On the meter. Okay, this is the Rad 9.
Okay, that was the last two on the Rad 9. Now we're going to meter the last two on the SWAT Commander.
It's also
Or
super short
Commander
barrels.
SWAT. Yeah.
These are supers.
Yeah, these are
Not
definitely
subs.
supers. But they're still a lot quieter.
We've just discovered we're shooting supers.
We knew all along.
What do you, Zach, what do you think?
Tough call, but I think tonally, at least on supers, the Rad 9 actually sounded a little bit better.
All right,
That's good sound.
and then what do you have on the meter readings?
They were both 125, but the Rad was 125.3 and the Commander SWAT 125.9.
Okay, all right, so let's...
There was no
race.
pitchiness to either one of them. It's just this one had a different tonal sound that it almost made it seem louder, but in fact,
How was back pressure?
there's more kick on this than there was this. It's just this one, even with the stock. I wasn't mounted behind it. I figured shooting them the same. Yeah.
All right, let's see what the panel heard from 5 yards. All right, Cameron's got the Rad 9. Sean's got the Rad 9. Tyler's got the Rad 9. All right, so Rad 9 will advance. All right, we're getting down to the last few. We got the Rad 9 and the Wolfman.
One by one. What are you doing? This is the Rad.
This is the Rad 9.
Go for it.
I mean, we're not going to meter anymore, so.
Yeah, we're
No.
gonna meter. Good.
All right, here we go.
All right, over to the Wolfman. Final 2 on the Rad 9. And final 2 on the Wolfman.
Goodbye, Wolfman.
All right. What do you say there, Zach?
No.
Kind of shocked that the dead air is just not performing. Give it to the Rad 9.
All right. Let's take it over to the panel.
Yeah.
50% bigger.
All right. Cameron's got a Rad 9. Sean, you also have a Rad 9.
Yes, sir.
Tyler, you also have a Rad 9.
Didn't see that coming.
All right.
Who makes the Rad 9?
This is all you guys.
All subjective.
All right. Next up, we have the Osprey, and what else do we have there?
Obsidian 9.
Osprey and the Obsidian 9. So first 3 on the Osprey.
That's all 3.
That's all 3. There we go.
I found the full auto switch.
You've taken the course on that gun?
Yeah, you see how well I just controlled that?
Do you want to do the Osprey again?
Yeah, whatever's left in the mag. Should be 2 rounds. Look at that perfect burst. All right. 1. It's hitting the top of it, I think.
These guns do fling grass pretty hard.
I'm taking the Osprey in this. And this one.
All right. Osprey. Take it back to the panel.
I'll throw it like 50 feet down.
Cameron with the Obsidian. Sean with the Osprey. And Tyler with the Osprey. So Osprey takes it. Obsidian gone. All right.
1.
We are down to the final 2. We got the Osprey and the Rad 9. Winner of this takes it home. All right, that's the Osprey. See what we got on the Rad 9.
It's a tight race.
What you guys don't see is I'm getting destroyed with brass over here. All right, what do you think, Zach?
My call would be the Osprey for this one.
Osprey? All right, let's take it over to the panel.
The 20-year-old can for the...
All right, panel, Osprey, Osprey, and Osprey. Osprey takes it for the 9mm cans, at least on the shorter barrel platforms.
Overall 9mm winner.
Whoop, whoop.
Impressive.